When the first gunshot rang out and everyone in downtown bar began screaming and running for cover, paramedic Lucas Hartman was returning to the hospital from a patient's home. As three armed attackers took control of the crowd inside the bar, Lucas immediately stopped the ambulance. "Stop here," he told his driver. "People inside might be injured." The driver looked at him anxiously. "Lucas, we should wait for police. This is too dangerous." But Lucas was already getting out of the ambulance because that sound wasn't foreign to him. And in the next 30 minutes, everyone at the bar would learn who Lucas Hartman really was. Because some people wear paramedic uniforms, but never stay passive. Welcome to Hidden Legends. Before we dive into this incredible story, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from today and hit that subscribe button. Lucas Hartman was the perfect paramedic at Metro Emergency Services. At 35 years old, he had been working with the same team for 5 years, never receiving complaints, quietly doing his job. Patients loved him because he was calm and reliable. His colleagues trusted him because he stayed controlled in every situation. "Lucas is our calm paramedic," said team leader Thomas Wilhelm. "He never panics, stays cool-headed even in the most stressful emergencies." But Lucas's ability to stay cool came from very different places than normal paramedic training. Lucas's shift routine was exactly the same every minute. He started work at 8 a.m., checked the ambulance, prepared equipment, and responded to calls. But these checks were different from an ordinary paramedic. He assessed every situation with military precision, detecting potential threats in advance. His colleagues noticed the depth of Lucas's medical knowledge. "Lucas, how do you know so much?" they would ask. "Experience," Lucas would say briefly. He never went into details, never talked about his past. Lucas's equipment was also different. Normal paramedics carried basic medical supplies, but Lucas's bag contained military-level medical materials, advanced trauma kits, equipment designed for field conditions, combat medic tools. Lucas Hartman's real story began 18 years ago. He had joined the Marines at 17. But why? It wasn't family tradition, it wasn't economic necessity, it was something else. Lucas had lost his father in a gang shooting as a child. During the armed attack, no one had intervened. Lucas was only 14 years old. That day, he made a promise to himself. "I will protect people, those left helpless like my father. I will never remain passive in the face of any violence." When he joined the Marines, he had gravitated toward hospital corpsmen, but after basic medicine, he was selected for advanced training. Fleet Marine Force Hospital Corpsman Training, the most challenging program. Marine Corps Hospital Corpsman Training was 16 weeks of medical intervention training under combat conditions. Lucas was one of the most successful graduates of this program. Lucas wasn't just learning medical intervention, surgery in war zones, intervention under enemy fire, saving lives with limited resources, decision-making under high stress, most importantly, combat leadership and team coordination. Lucas's corpsman training wasn't just basic intervention. Modern Marine corpsmen received advanced trauma surgery, battlefield medicine, and emergency leadership training. "A corpsman's job isn't just bandaging wounds," said his instructor, Gunnery Sergeant Duval. "You're the person making life and death decisions. Even without a doctor, even without a hospital, you will save the Marine." Lucas had embraced this philosophy, producing solutions without resources, leadership in critical moments, staying calm in violent environments. The hardest part of his training was medical intervention under fire, surgery with gunshots around, casualty evacuation during bomb attacks, saving lives under enemy threat. Lucas had developed superior abilities in this area. His first deployment was Iraq, medical support in Fallujah operations. Lucas's most difficult intervention was saving a Marine injured by a bomb during street fighting. He had saved lives under enemy fire amid gunshots. His second deployment was Afghanistan, special operations medical support in the Kandahar region. During this period, Lucas had conducted the most complex operations in enemy territory without security, relying only on his own skills for casualty care. His third deployment was classified operations, special operations, command, medical support, covert operations. Over 15 years, Lucas had saved 127 critical cases, never losing a single one. But the event that really changed him was an operation near the Syrian border. His struggle to protect a civilian group injured in an IED attack. Lucas had saved 4 people in 6 hours under enemy fire. But during that operation, He had risked losing a young child. That night, lying in his base, he thought about his father. He had promised himself, "Now I will protect people in civilian life. I will always be ready." After receiving an honorable discharge in 2020, Lucas had transitioned to civilian life. He used PTSD therapy, adjustment counseling, and career transition support. But Lucas's goal was clear. His experience in war zones had directed him to protect people in civilian life. He wanted to be able to intervene in the kind of violence his father had experienced. Ambulance paramedic work had been a perfect choice. It reminded him why he had chosen the medical field. But more importantly, it allowed him to be in a position where he could intervene in civilian emergencies and violent incidents. When Metro Emergency Services hired him, Lucas was overqualified. Nursing degree, 15 years of military medical experience, hospital corpsman certification. But the hiring committee hadn't asked detailed questions. "I've always loved saving people," Lucas had said. And this time, he was genuinely sincere. Lucas's duties in the ambulance seemed simple: patient transport, emergency intervention, doctor assistance. But Lucas was doing much more. He assessed every situation with corpsman eyes. He detected potential threat indicators early. He identified signs of violent incidents in advance. "Lucas, how do you read environment so well?" asked his partner Jakob Muller. "Experience," Lucas would say. "Signals from the environment tell you a lot." This experience came from 15 years of battlefield medicine training. Marine corpsmen constantly assess threats, make quick decisions, coordinate teams in dangerous situations. Lucas also knew the city's emergency systems very well: police station locations, hospital security procedures, emergency response protocols. He had a complete security map of the city in his mind. On Saturday evening, the 22nd of November, Lucas and his partner Jakob were making a normal return from the hospital. They had transported an elderly patient from home to the hospital and were heading back. While passing through the downtown area, Jakob complained about traffic. Saturday nights everywhere gets crowded. Lucas quietly looked out the window. His 15 years of experience had taught him to constantly observe his surroundings. At 9:45 p.m., while passing in front of downtown bar, Lucas heard sounds, gunshots. Lucas's body immediately went into alert mode. This sound wasn't foreign to him. "Jakob, stop." "What happened, Lucas?" "There are gunshots inside. People might be injured." Jakob hesitated. "Lucas, we should wait for police." "No, Jakob, there are casualties inside. We need to intervene immediately." Lucas got out of the ambulance. Panic sounds were coming from inside the bar. Screams, running, chaos. Jakob watched Lucas anxiously. "Lucas, this is too dangerous. We should wait for police." "Jakob, stay in the ambulance. Radio, police, and fire department. I'll control the situation." Lucas gathered special materials from the back of the ambulance: sedative drugs, powerful anesthetic spray, medical tape, and emergency restraint kit. His 15 years of Marine training kicked in. Situational awareness, environmental assessment, threat analysis, tactical intervention plan. Lucas quietly circled around the bar. One of the attackers was keeping watch at the front door, but the back door was empty. A complete security gap. Rookie mistake, Lucas thought. They didn't control the back exit. Lucas used the silent infiltration techniques he learned in the Marine Corps to enter through the back door. Inside the bar, 3 armed men stood in the center. Customers were huddled in corners, frightened. Several injured people were on the floor. Lucas quietly moved forward from the back door and took position. Marine Corps close quarters combat training kicked in. Tactical assessment. First attacker by the bar counter, armed but careless. Second attacker standing in the center shouting at customers. Third attacker keeping watch at front door, back turned Lucas's plan. Approach silently, neutralize with anesthetic spray, control weapons. He approached the first target. Silent takedown techniques learned in the Marines. He sprayed anesthetic into the attacker's face while simultaneously applying pressure points to his neck. The attacker fell silently to the ground. He applied the same technique to the second attacker before he noticed Lucas. Spray, pressure point, silent neutralization. When the third attacker turned around, Lucas was standing in front of him. "Drop your weapon," Lucas said in a calm but authoritative voice. "The others have already been neutralized." The attacker saw his 2 partners lying on the ground next to Lucas and panicked. He dropped his weapon to the ground. Who? Who are you? Lucas Hartman. And now I'm going to check the injured. After neutralizing the third attacker, Lucas quickly sprang into action. He securely tied up all three attackers with the restraint kit he brought from the ambulance. Jakob, he called toward the door. Come inside. The attackers have been neutralized. Jakob hesitantly entered and couldn't believe his eyes. 3 attackers were lying on the ground tied up while Lucas was calmly checking the injured. Lucas, how is this possible? How did you? No time to talk now, Jakob. There are injured people. You check the patient on the left. I'll look at the others. Lucas and Jakob began intervening with the injured together. Lucas's professional approach amazed Jakob. This patient has no arterial damage in the shoulder wound, but serious laceration in muscle tissue. Lucas said, you monitor vital signs. I'll apply compression. Jakob was surprised when he heard Lucas's medical terminology. Lucas, where do you know these terms from? Jakob, now isn't the time to discuss this. The patient on the left has a leg fracture. Get the immobilization kit. While checking the second injured person's leg, Lucas's experience was clearly visible. Combat splitting techniques, wound cleaning, professional bandaging. What kind of paramedic training is this? Lucas, Jakob asked in amazement. I received different training, Lucas said briefly. The third patient has head trauma. We'll apply concussion protocol. 15 minutes later, police teams reached the bar. When they entered, the scene they encountered was surprising. 3 attackers securely tied on the ground, injured, receiving professional medical care, situation completely under control. Police Commander Sergeant Rossi approached Lucas. Sir, who controlled the situation? I controlled it, Lucas said, while continuing to treat the injured. Lucas Hartman, ambulance paramedic. Who neutralized the attackers? I did. It was necessary to treat the injured. Rossi looked in amazement. Sir, how did you single-handedly neutralize 3 armed attackers? I served 15 years in the U.S. Marines. I was a hospital corpsman. I received training for these situations. Jakob turned to Lucas. Lucas, were you a Marine? We've worked together for years. You never mentioned it. I didn't see it as necessary. I'm an ambulance paramedic now. When Commander Rossi learned about Lucas's background, his attitude changed. Sir, which unit did you serve in? 2nd Marine Division, Fleet Marine Force Hospital Corpsman. 2 tours Iraq, 1 tour Afghanistan. Were you a combat medic? Yes. Medical support at forward operating bases, special operations, medical support. Jakob couldn't believe. Lucas, you're a real combat veteran. Why did you never mention it? Because what matters isn't the past, it's now. I'm an ambulance paramedic. I provide patient care. Rossi. Sir, the performance you showed today is extraordinary. This level of tactical operation isn't expected from a civilian. After the injured were stabilized, hospital transport began. Lucas reported each patient's condition in detail. First patient, penetrating wound in shoulder area, no arterial damage. Grade 2, laceration in muscle tissue. Compression applied. Vital signs stable. Second patient, possible left tibia fracture. Splint applied. Circulation intact. Pain management administered. Third patient, head trauma, mild concussion symptoms. Neurological exam, normal. Observation required. Jakob's amazement grew as he listened to Lucas's detailed medical reporting. At the hospital, Dr. Willem met Lucas. Lucas, did you stabilize these injured people? Yes, doctor. I applied combat field medicine techniques. This level of trauma care. Where did you receive training? U.S. Navy Hospital Corps School, Field Medical Training Battalion. I served 15 years in the Marines. Dr. Willem looked in amazement. You're a combat medic. Why did you never say this? Because I'm an ambulance paramedic now. The past doesn't matter. Hospital Director Jansen held an emergency meeting with Lucas. Lucas, your performance today was extraordinary, but I need to learn about your real background. Lucas explained his situation. 15 years of military medical experience, combat medicine expertise, tactical medical operations. Jansen was amazed. Why do you work as an ambulance paramedic? Because I want to serve people in civilian life. Rank and title don't matter. Lucas, you're our hospital's most valuable asset. Would you manage the emergency medicine department? Lucas hesitated. I prefer to stay in field work. 3 days later, Lucas visited the injured in the hospital. All were on the path to full recovery. The first patient, Mikhail Steen, smiled when he saw Lucas. "Are you the paramedic who saved me?" "Yes." "How are you feeling?" "Very good." "The doctor said your intervention was life-saving. Thank you." Second patient, Carla Winkler. "Were you really a Marine?" "Very impressive." "Yes, but now I'm an ambulance paramedic. That's what matters." Third patient, Dario Costa. "You're a hero. You saved us." Lucas shook his head. "No, I just did my job." Lucas's story also caught the attention of other emergency services. He began providing tactical emergency medicine training. Emergency situations aren't just medical knowledge, he would say in his training sessions. Situational awareness, tactical thinking, rapid decisioning, most importantly, calm under pressure. "But you're a combat veteran. We don't have that kind of training." Combat medicine teaches you adaptability, life-saving solutions in any emergency. The same principles apply in civilian emergencies. Lucas's training program, Tactical Emergency Medicine, Threat Assessment in Medical Emergencies, Crisis Management Team, Coordination Under Pressure, Field Trauma Care. Lucas was still working the same shift at ambulance service. The injured had completely healed and returned to their normal lives. Lucas's greatest achievement was the sense of confidence he gave to ambulance teams. "As long as Lucas is here, we can handle any crisis," Jakob would say. One day, ambulance director Roth asked Lucas, "Lucas, do you ever regret it? Leaving your big military career?" Lucas watched the team working in the ambulance. They were caring for patients, comforting families, saving lives. "No, Roth. I protected soldiers for 15 years. Now, I protect civilians. Same mission." Lucas pointed to the patients. "Yes, life-saving mission never ends. Only the location changes." As his shift ended, he looked at downtown bar. Now it was safe. Normal customers were drinking and Lucas would protect them. His uniform might be ambulance clothes, but his heart still beat with the same mission. Lucas's story isn't just a heroism story. It's also the story of expertise, finding meaning in civilian life, the instinct to serve and never giving up, because sometimes the greatest warriors work behind ambulances to save lives. Jakob learned this working with Lucas every day. Real heroes wear uniforms, but are never defined by their uniforms. The courage Lucas showed that night at Downtown Bar didn't just come from combat training. It came from his determination to serve people in civilian life. "I'm no longer a warrior," Lucas would say. "I'm a healer." But that night, he had shown that sometimes you have to fight to heal. So I ask you, have you ever wondered about the stories of people serving quietly in the emergency services you visit? Do you know the hidden protectors waiting for your safety? Share in the comments. Because here at Hidden Legends, we believe real protectors can be found in the most healing places. If this story moved you, share it, subscribe, and help these important stories continue. See you in the next legend. And remember, the paramedic in the next ambulance you encounter might have skills you never knew about. Real protectors change their uniforms, but never their missions.